If you are thinking about going to Rhinebeck for the first time, let me save you a little bit of stress, because everyone always talks about what to pack, what footwear to bring, how to layer, but no one talks about the mental preparation. So here's the advice that I wish I knew before I attended my first Rhinebeck. Hopefully it can help you to leave at the end of the weekend with your cup full. And one thing I wish I did before my first Rhinebeck was just kind of set my expectations, because we spend months knitting a Rhinebeck sweater that we are so excited to wear. And when you show up and it is 85 degrees and you can't wear your Rhinebeck sweater, it can feel really devastating because you've worked your way up to this event. And so I just want to name now that the weather can be so variable at Rhinebeck. I've been there on years where it feels like a hot summer day. I've also been there at years where it was like 30 degrees. And in both extremes, I was not able to wear and display the Rhinebeck sweater I had carefully made for that day. So if I was talking to a first-time Rhinebeck attendee, I would say, one, just be mentally prepared that you might not be able to wear your Rhinebeck sweater as planned. Just like be prepared for it so you're not super disappointed. And I might also say, like, if you have a t-shirt that you've knit or a tank top that you've knit or some other way to display your knitting that isn't a warm sweater, maybe bring that and have it as backup, so that if it gets super hot and you have to change, you can still wear something hand knit if that's important to you. Even if you can't wear it all day, it's still your Rhinebeck sweater, and you can still get the cute shot on the grounds in front of an autumn tree. It's definitely not worth fainting because you overheated in that sweater. It's better to take it off. Rhinebeck is more than just a yarn shopping experience. There's sheep shearing demonstrations, there are competitions, there's an alpaca parade, there's a bunch of different food. In my first Rhinebeck, I don't think I attended any of the events just because I didn't know that they were happening. These events are really fun because they're so unique. You're not gonna be able to find them anywhere else, but also because they help break up the day of yarn shopping. Kind of a nice break. And if you're not even sure where to begin, just check out the Rhinebeck website. They have a list of all of the events timed so you can see what's going on and decide what you're interested in checking out. Rhinebeck weekend is technically Saturday and Sunday. Like, those are the official fairgrounds days, although there are some classes that happen on the days prior. But there are now some indie marketplaces that are starting to pop up on the Friday before the weekend. And when I first started going to Rhinebeck, those didn't even exist, but Rhinebeck is old school, and it can be really hard to get a spot as a vendor if you haven't been involved in the market for a very long time. So these indie shows give smaller brands an opportunity to vend for the Rhinebeck crowd without being able to get a table at the official Rhinebeck festival. They each have a different personality, so check out their websites and see which ones speak to you, especially for those folks who want to go up and make a whole weekend out of it. But something that I wish I knew when I first started going to Rhinebeck is you don't have to make a whole weekend out of it. In all of my years of attending the festival, I've only stayed overnight once. It is totally possible and fun to have one full day at Rhinebeck and then go home and sleep in your own bed. So do not feel bad if you are not able to stay for the weekend. If you can make a day trip out of it and you live in driving distance, it's totally possible to have a great and full day in just one day. However, if you do want to stay the weekend, you're going to need to start looking for lodgings and accommodations months in advance, because things really book up. If you do not start looking months in advance, you might find that there isn't really any place for you to stay, certainly not any place affordable for you to stay within driving distance. So get on it early if you want to stay for the full weekend. But in all this talk about planning, attending Friday events, staying overnight or not staying overnight, there's a piece that I'm missing that I wish I knew for my first Rhinebeck. It's actually what I did for my first Rhinebeck, which is to go completely unprepared. I just kind of drove up with my friends and took the day in for the very first time. And the truth of the matter is, that's how I would recommend anybody do Rhinebeck for the first time. It is an overwhelming day, and I want to give you permission to just show up and have fun. There can be so much pressure with a big, important annual event like Rhinebeck, like squeeze the most out of the day possible and have the very best time, especially if it's your first Rhinebeck ever. But if you can just let go and enjoy the flow of the day, I think you'll have a better time than if you cling tightly to like making it the perfect day. One really important part of Rhinebeck prep that people don't address is just like the mental prep of walking into the largest sheep and wool festival, the largest knitting event on the East Coast, maybe the country. It's like Disney in the middle of the day, busy. There are shoulder-to-shoulder crowds. Thousands of people show up to Rhinebeck. So I think it's helpful to be prepared for just like the sheer scale, because it can be kind of overwhelming. If there's something that you really love and you're in a place with all these other people who are passionate about it, and you see all these beautiful hand-knit sweaters and all these people talking about the craft and all of this yarn that you can buy, you might be connecting with friends you've met over the internet but never in real life. Influencers from the internet who you've followed for a long time and they're having a meetup and you get to meet them in real life. You might even be wearing their pattern when you meet them. Barns can be very crowded. You can get pulled along with the flow of people. It can feel claustrophobic inside those barns. And it can start to feel like a lot of stimulation packed into one day, like a lot of things you love packed into one day. And especially for folks who feel sensitive to like social overstimulation, I just want to mentally prepare you. Rhinebeck is amazing. It's absolutely worth going. It can also be a lot. And I think that if, like, I was not prepared for the scale of it for my first Rhinebeck, and I think that it really surprised me. So if I was going to my first Rhinebeck all over again, I'd want to know. I think I just want to know what I was walking into. If you're a person who is sensitive to noise, who is sensitive to crowds, I just want to give you permission to take frequent breaks throughout the day, to retreat to the animal areas that tend to be a little bit more quiet. You can see adorable sheep. You can take a little bit of a breather. I encourage you to like step out of the barns and get some fresh air and sit on the grass under the trees. It is okay. It is okay to not be yarn shopping and yarn talking the entire day. Like, even though I know you're there for Rhinebeck, I even have to remind myself, like, you don't have to fill every minute of the day. You just like take a breather, take a break. It's okay. I also think it's good to know that Saturday tends to be far more crowded than Sunday. Sunday is a more chill day. So if you are a little intimidated by the crowds, Sunday might be a great day to go because it tends to just be a little calmer, a little quieter. Yes, the sacrifice you make is that like some of the best yarn might have been picked over, but some vendors also save stock to put out on Sunday so they have fresh and new rotating through. So don't stress it. If you're gonna have a better experience on a calmer day, go on a calmer day. I promise there will still be tons of beautiful yarn for you to shop through. I also wish that I was prepared to meet knitfluencers that I loved. For years, I would see famous knitters who I followed online and I'd be totally starstruck. Like, I'd be standing behind them in line at a booth and I would be like sweating. But to me, these are mega celebrities. And so I think that I wasn't really prepared for the emotional experience I would have of meeting famous knitters. One piece of advice I'd give with this is to please remember that these are real people too, and that they are not celebrities. They're just real people who talk about knitting on the internet, who design knitting patterns, and they get overwhelmed too. It's their Rhinebeck day too. And so if you have an encounter with an online knitfluencer and it doesn't live up to your expectations, take a step back and say, you know what, it's not personal. That person's here at Rhinebeck with their friends, with their knitting group. It's not about me. They're doing their thing. It's all good. Every year at Rhinebeck, I see more and more people with cameras, taking content, taking video, taking pictures. And I think it just speaks to the desire so many of us have to share knitting content on the internet, to connect in this way. If you are a person who is putting a lot of pressure on yourself to create content at Rhinebeck, I would just advise, give yourself a little bit of a break. If it is something that you're passionate about, you have 365 days in a year to pursue it. This one day is not going to make or break you. Give yourself a break. Or at least set a rule for yourself that you're only going to do it for half the day and the other half you're going to enjoy, or for half the weekend and the other half you're going to enjoy. Otherwise, it's just like too much pressure. The hustle overtakes the hobby and it's not fun anymore. Rhinebeck's supposed to be fun. Rhinebeck isn't a competition. You cannot win knitting. Everyone's on their own timeline. Everyone has different skills and abilities, and everyone has different insecurities within this craft. Resist the urge to compare. Rhinebeck is about celebrating each other, celebrating knitting and yarn and our craft. I have found, for the most part, overwhelming positivity, support, and encouragement from other knitters at Rhinebeck. Rhinebeck is not about racing to do every single activity in the day. It is absolutely impossible. You will never leave Rhinebeck having done it all. You will probably have a better time if you don't try to do it all. But if you just try to focus on enjoying, being present, and doing the few priorities that you definitely don't want to miss. If you wind up leaving Rhinebeck and you have a feeling like you didn't do it right, yes, you did. Rhinebeck is huge. It's impossible to do it all, and it's impossible to do it wrong. As long as you enjoyed, made connections, found yarn, saw some sheep, that's it. You did it. You did Rhinebeck. Awesome. If you are attending Rhinebeck for the first or the 50th time, I am so excited for you. It is always so much fun. I hope you have an amazing trip. And if you see me, please stop and say hi. I would love to say hi to you. Those of you who have attended Rhinebeck before, if I missed anything on this list, please make sure to drop it in the comments below. We can make a little resource for newbies attending for the first time. As always, it was really wonderful to talk about knitting with you today, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye.